Half a month ago, I received an anonymous email. It contained various photos of Chi Xia intimately entangled with a man. I replied, the AI synthesis technique isn't bad. Afterwards, Chi Xia started taking our daughter in with her whenever she went out. During this period, I received several more photos of An playing with a little boy. Later, when Chi Xia took An out again, I called my daughter. Sweetheart, when are you coming home? How about Daddy takes you and Mommy to the revolving restaurant? Anin, I already ate with Chuan. We're riding roller coasters now. Gotta go. But the watch GPS showed her location as Rinji Garden. After hanging up, I parked my car guarding the community's entrance exit. I saw Chi Xia sharing passionate farewell kisses with a strange man, and Inan mimicking her mother's behavior. But later the man claimed Chi Xia was just his human pacifier. The anonymous email asked me, understand what this means. I understood, but after 10 years of marriage, I didn't want to give up easily. We got married when we were 33, had Sheng Inan at 34, heeding the call for late marriage and childbirth. I arrived home first, waiting for the mother and daughter. Chi Xia changed clothes and took a shower immediately upon entering. But I detected an exotic and peculiar fragrance on Anan, the rhinoceros horn ingredient from Silixiang. So I asked, who did Anan play with today? Classmates. Hearing this, Chi Xia sneered and walked into the bathroom hugging her towel. Boy classmates or girl classmates? Anan rolled her eyes at me. Girls. Suddenly, I felt overwhelmed with fatigue, no longer wanting to continue questioning. You can't wake someone pretending to be asleep. Chi Xia didn't even bother acknowledging it. Silixiang was a custom blended fragrance commissioned by a client named Gu Lan through me. Extremely expensive due containing the long-band medicinal ingredient rhinoceros horn. I wanted to calm down before having a proper talk with Chi Xia, so I retreated to my workroom. While I was handling herbs and spices, Inan lingered at the doorway refusing to enter. Dad, what's the point of you messing with these powders every day? Nobody uses incense anymore. Everyone uses perfume now. I gently explained. Aromatherapy is a massive industry that includes perfumes, essential oils, candles, and the scented powders like what Dad works with. You just want to hole up at home all day instead of getting a real job. Anan sneered, cutting me off. How can a man have no career of his own? Even 14-year-old Chuan understands this basic truth. Yet at your age, you make pretentious excuses for your laziness. I froze mid-motion, utterly stunned. Who told you that? Dad stays home to create custom aromatherapy blends based on clients' actual needs. These therapeutic. At that moment, I emerged from her shower, her gaze frosty. You're treating your daughter like another client, spouting your nonsense all day. Anan needs to sleep. I hurriedly stood. Remember to hang the scented ball by her bed. Anan's chi blood deficiency affects her sleep quality. But Anan suddenly became unhappy, pointing at the medicinal powder on my clothes with a look of disgust. She rushed into the bedroom and smashed the incense ball I'd painstakingly prepared onto the floor. What kind of junk is this? Forcing people to use it every day? This thing's as filthy as you are. The incense ball split in two, freezing the blood in my veins. This was an old keepsake Grandma left me before she passed away. I never cleaned it because between its two concentric rings lay a rare, ancient medicinal paste no longer found today, Shuxing glue. It also had another name, Lianjin paste, renowned for calming the heart, soothing nerves, and preventing convulsions. When Chi Xia saw this, she only said, Anan is fine now. Remember to get up early tomorrow to make breakfast and take Anan to school. When I married Chi Xia, Grandma was already 93. Back then, she had Alzheimer's. She'd forgotten her daughter, forgotten her brother, but still remembered her eldest grandson who'd lost both parents. So I brought her to Huiqing. At first, Chi Xia hinted obliquely, I don't want the house smelling like old people. I explained, Grandma loves quiet and uses scented candles year-round. Then who takes care of the elderly? Before I could figure it out, Chi Xia said coldly, each family should take care of their own elderly. I thought it made sense, so I quit my pharmacist job to research special blended aromatherapy while caring for my aged grandmother. Later, when Grandma became severely ill and lost control of her bladder and bowels, it seemed that was when cracks began forming between us. And in Chi Xia's eyes, I was never clean again. The next day, I overslept. When Chi Xia got up and saw the deserted kitchen, she stood hands on hips and shouted, Shengming, get your ass out here. Anan emerged sleepily with messy bedhead at the noise. What now? If we can't live peacefully, why bother staying together with all this daily arguing? I whispered an explanation. I stayed up too late last night. The response I received was a crisp, snap sound. The glass shattered, the shards glinting with multicolored light under the sun, like my fractured life. I tried piecing it together, but it was already beyond repair. Following the violent slam of the door, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. While squatting to gather the broken glass, I asked softly, Anan, if Mom and I divorce, who do you want to live with? Anan didn't answer, stepping on the glass shards with a cold expression as she walked into the kitchen. Xia, fresh from her shower, also stepped on the glass shards and followed behind her daughter. I work so hard every day outside the home. Stop looking for trouble out of nowhere. You forgot the old lady's dying wish. The grandmother had said on her deathbed, Shengming, as long as there's family harmony, don't care about who is above or below between husband and wife. The suffering you endured as a child must not be repeated by your own children. At that time, Xia had just become pregnant with Inan not long ago. But what I don't understand is, one works outside to earn money, one works at home to earn money. How could there still be distinctions of superiority and inferiority, making things simple and easy? The reality was exactly as Xia had imagined. Many clients would curse me as a big scammer after hearing about the medicinal fumigation therapy and asking about prices, even berating me to my face for being black-hearted. But what does this have to do with her infidelity? Not wanting divorce. Then what's the meaning of Gulan's provocation? I don't believe she knew nothing about it. My hand trembled absent-mindedly, broken glass cutting my fingertip. Anin had just come out of the kitchen holding milk and fainted at the sight of blood. I had just picked up Anin. Xia rushed out, throwing the milk in her hand at me without hesitation. If it weren't for your family's old lady dying in this house, how could my Anin have been so sickly since childhood? If she hadn't borrowed Anin's life force in her final moments, how could she have lasted until 95? After her death, my parents told you to sell the house. Why didn't you agree? Shengming, what kind of intentions do you really have? Xia once again brought up the past incident. That time, I went to Shanghai to meet a client and left temporarily for 2 days. Originally, I wanted to hire temporary nursing help to care for grandma. But my mother-in-law who came to take care of Xia during her postpartum confinement stopped me. Just 2 days, and besides, having a caregiver come to the house would be inconvenient. It's just helping hands. You can go handle your business with peace of mind. I was deeply grateful. As it turned out, after confirming the raw materials and final formula with me, the client didn't require me to do on-site refinement. Instead, they asked me to prepare everything at home and mail daily portions according to measurements. Thus I returned home early. Upon arriving home, I discovered that 6-month-old Anin had crawled into Grandma's room. The room reeked of putrid odor. Grandma lay on the bed, groaning, to call for someone, while Anin played gleefully on the floor with traces of his own excretion still clinging to the corner of his mouth. Neither the old nor the young had received care for their toilet needs. Hearing the noise of my return, Xia was leisurely sipping a cup of crimson cherry juice. She craned her neck to peek from behind, then instantly dropped the glass in disgust when she saw the scene. Shards of broken glass scattered as blood-red cherry juice spilled across the floor. Her lips and teeth were stained nearly the same crimson hue. Anin, who had been playing happily, looked up at her and fainted in terror, his eyes rolling back. Only later did I learn my mother-in-law was playing mahjong downstairs. Since that incident, Anin developed psychological trauma, fainting at the sight of blood, followed by convulsions and panic attacks. Yet my mother-in-law, whether influenced by some unqualified street fortune teller or simply making excuses for neglecting the child, insisted it was grandma borrowing blessings. Even when doctors diagnosed it as febrile seizures, Xia declared it life-stealing. I thought with grandma having passed 8 years ago, this matter should have been laid to rest. Unexpectedly, 8 years later, a sleep-deprived and fainted at blood again. Yet the one who remains obstinate is still that old woman. I stared blankly at Xia standing before me, watching her crimson lips part and close. She had dug up those ancient grievances and trivial matters from years past. If grandma was wrong, then I was wrong, and even bearing the surname Sheng in this household was wrong. The groggy Anin in my arms frowned upon seeing me and wriggled free upon awakening. The daughter whose first word after birth had been Dad, now regarded me as a monstrous scourge. Wanting Gu Lan as her father, desiring to live with Gu Chuan, viewing the surname Sheng as shameful. When watching the video Gu Lan sent before, I'd comforted myself thinking Sheng Anin was young and would understand later. Though human hearts are fickle and hard to read, actions reveal truth. In an instant, everything became clear. Life had shown me its most painful, humiliating face. They despised me, and the deceased grandma too. The mental thread that had been taut since grandma's death 8 years ago finally snapped. I returned to my room and began slowly packing all my belongings into boxes. Before long, there came a heavy slam of the door outside. A Chinese idiom flashed through my mind. The world turned upside down. Xia prided herself as a new-era career woman, often boasting about working and earning money while I stayed home to support my spouse and raise children. Grandma also said women have a hard time, and harmony is most precious between husband and wife. As a man, I should retreat when possible and yield whenever feasible. But now I found myself standing at the edge of a cliff. The sunset was gradually fading. A sudden rainstorm washed away the last trace of lingering warmth. I tried my utmost to accompany, to share, to tolerate, to exert every effort within my power, hoping to harvest family affection and warmth. There was none. I forgot. When heaven weeps rain, I could wear rain boots, carry an umbrella, even call a taxi. But I blindly chose to try changing the rain, to reform the rain. This time, I locked the door and left alone with my umbrella. When exiting the neighborhood, I collided with Gulan, who was driving Chi Xia and Enin back home. Seeing me, the mother and daughter simultaneously accused, "Are you out of your mind? You only brought one umbrella." I quietly gazed at Chi Xia. "Chi Xia, I used to think you enjoyed steering the helm. So even when many didn't understand, I was willing to be the man standing behind you. Do you know how exhausting work really is? But for 10 years, have I ever reached out my hand demanding you spend a single penny on this household? One shouldn't be too greedy. This time I chose to violate Grandma's dying wish, divorce. Life, from the moment I was born until now, seems to have drawn a complete circle for me. At 43 years old, my life is reset to zero once again. Behind me, the fragmented discussions of the mother and daughter came through the curtain of rain. Mom, what's been wrong with him lately? Nothing. That bastard is going through menopause. Where could he possibly go after divorce? She wasn't wrong. I truly had nowhere to go. On this stormy day, I visited several rental agencies, informing them I needed to lease a place. Everyone looked at me with a hint of pity. I seemed to return to my childhood, when after my parents' divorce, they each rushed to their next relationships, never considering taking me, the defective product of their love, the drag-along burden. It was Grandma who propped herself on a cane to find this wandering lost soul, giving me a home. Thus in relationships, I've always been suppressed, compliant, and passively accepting. I yearned for a warm cabin amidst snowstorms and torrential rains, for a dim light left on for me as the northern winds howled. I inherited Grandma's most traditional, conservative ways, stitching and mending, piecing together fragments to make life hold as much as possible, desperately clutching at whatever shreds of love Chi Xiao and Shunganin could spare me. Just a spark would keep me going. I randomly checked into a hotel at the intersection, collapsing into deep sleep the moment my head touched the pillow. Waking at midnight, I found a woman on the pillow beside me. Before I could inquire who she was, knocking sounded at the door. Very soon, Chi Xia was also summoned to the police station. I knew nothing about it, yet inexplicably became labeled as a John. When Chi Xia rushed to the police station, she slapped me without asking any questions. "Is this why you wanted a divorce?" I didn't, but the woman produced 1,000 yuan from her bag, claiming it was cash I paid. She even knew my name. Still, I refused to admit it, even requested to examine her body for traces of my DNA. Seeing my resolute expression, the slandering woman suddenly changed her story, saying I had solicited her but failed due to physical incapacity. Instantly, I became labeled as an impotent man. I was subjected to another wave of pity and sympathy. But when the woman tossed her hair, I caught a faint whiff of distinct fragrance. Having worked with fragrances, I recognized it immediately. I could even recite the herbal fumigation formula I created for Gulan by heart. Yet I couldn't determine who instigated this woman from the sex industry, whether it was Gulan or my wife Chi Xia. Chi Xia's profession was special. She was a host at Huai City TV station, a public figure. She was also the mother of our daughter, Enin. If such a matter were exposed, it would only harm us. I gritted my molars and accepted the blame. Due to physical incapacity to commit the act and a relatively cooperative attitude, I was fined 500 yuan and given a verbal warning. Still want a divorce? The moment we stepped out of the police station, Chi Xia coldly challenged. I turned around angrily, only to see camera flashes in the dark. Without thinking, I pulled her into my arms. Don't look back. I saw the woman from the special service industry. The moment she exited the station, clandestine photographers captured a clear frontal shot of her. I also spotted someone secretly photographing us. At first, Chi Xia struggled, but when she heard the camera shutter clicks, she immediately buried her face in my chest. In the taxi, I smiled bitterly. Are you satisfied this time? There's always some media outlets that thrive on sensationalism and exaggeration. Bet you tomorrow the internet will be flooded with headlines like, "Husband of Huai City TV's celebrated hostess caught in midnight hotel scandal. Faces administrative penalty." After that, you'll face public ridicule, colleagues whispering behind your back, both acquaintances and strangers reveling in gleeful schadenfreude. Our lives will become clickbait material. Bloggers chasing trends will instantly concoct steamy love triangles and melodramatic vendettas from thin air. A muffled apology emerged from the embrace. "I'm sorry, I never meant for this." The station was holding a gala tonight. I just received the Golden Microphone Award for hosts when I got the call. About you being caught soliciting. That's why I rushed over immediately. Only through quick divorce can you stay clean from this mess, and Enin won't be mocked at school. I believe what she said. Chi Xia valued face more than anything. Even during our coldest marital standoffs, it never escaped these walls. But, isn't it because you found someone else outside? So you want to gift me an affair too? Don't you want to protect him? I held up my phone. The man in the photo was just a silhouette. Why City's social circle was so small, someone truly familiar with him would recognize him eventually. Or did you think, Xia, that no one would find out what you've done? And you still take it in with you? What were you thinking? From now on, stop taking in on your dates. Children learn by example. Have you ever thought about what in will be like when she grows up? Xia lowered her head, hugging her knees and sobbing softly. You don't understand. Yet we still completed the divorce formalities in record time, rushing into the Civil Affairs Bureau the moment it opened. Working in media, Xia had her own ways to extricate herself. As for me, just an ordinary citizen. As a child in the village, I endured mud and sheep dung pellets thrown by peers. As an adult, became material for sensationalists chasing clout. But without ongoing attention, people eventually forget everything. I left Hawaii City with nothing. In the heavy rain, I frantically demanded every agency to immediately help me find housing. And after the storm ended, I neurotically told them I didn't need it anymore. I dragged my favorite Chinese herbal medicine powders to the nation's political and economic center. They say people here are too busy and exhausted every day to even glance at who's around them. The capital is vast. Living here comes dear. To save money, hauling 2 enormous suitcases, I rented a less than 6 square meter room in a 3-level basement located at West 3rd Ring Road. Monthly rent 1,300 yuan. Life seemed to regress to the hardships of my fresh graduate days. Back then, Xia and I also rented, counting salaries in our phones, calculating how long we'd need to work together to afford our own home. To save money, I rented houses built by urban villagers in Hawaii City, but the village drainage system was terrible. When it rained, excrement floated. Those days aren't worth recalling. Yet this time it's different. The location here is excellent, with commercial areas and schools nearby. A few kilometers away stand the White Stone Bridge and the zoo. The only drawback is that the plaster partition walls in the basement were built too thin. Every night brings passionate moans, creaks and groans, and waves of snoring through the walls. The place pulses with life. I thought I'd have to hunker down in this basement for many years before climbing out to see sunlight. Little did I expect. At my lowest point, a former client who had used my custom herbal blends suddenly extended a helping hand. He said, I noticed you once posted about a grape, flower, and bird-patterned incense sphere. I nodded. It's an old family heirloom left by my elders. Indeed. My experts reviewed the images. It appears to be an incense sphere used by Tang Dynasty nobility. But I'm not contacting you to buy the relic. I'm reaching out because this confirms you've genuinely dedicated yourself to studying medicinal incense. Chinese culture is profound and extensive. Even in ancient times, incense burning was essentially medicinal fumigation. Therefore, I'd like to ask, given the opportunity, would you want to make your self-developed fragrance formulas available for online customization? This would allow your creations to reach a broader audience. We can split into 2 lines. One for mass-produced standardized medicinal sachets, and one for custom-blended formulations targeting specific customer segments, just like you did before. As for the sachet ball in your possession, I want technical documentation of its interior details. We could also customize a batch of silver sachet balls. Ancient people had lavish carriages and precious horses. We have far more possibilities nowadays. Your studio would contribute technical equity shares, while I'll provide capital and manage online sales. Let's try it for 2 years first. I'll invest tens of millions initially to test the waters. I've encountered some minor complications in Huaiqing. Also, I'm divorced now. He spread his hands. So, who doesn't have critics behind their back? Who isn't surrounded by flirtatious admirers? People still call me a capitalist today, saying I exploit the beasts of burden. But without my exploitation, these same critics who curse behind my back would be unemployed. I've investigated, graduated with a master's in pharmaceutics from the medical university, concurrently studied traditional Chinese medicine theory during college, switched to researching medicinal fragrances after graduation. Yet you still confine yourself to the aromatherapy domain, maintaining some clientele mainly through word-of-mouth expansion. I agree to collaborate. This meeting with Mr. Ma saw our interests perfectly aligned, and he introduced me to a consumer group that genuinely required customized blends. While I was absorbed in refining formulas suitable for mass consumers, Xia sent her first message. Are you doing all right in the capital? The fast work pace and high living pressure there make job hunting difficult at your age. Maybe come back after a while. I didn't reply. Before the divorce, she claimed I didn't understand. Now, after divorce, I no longer wish to understand. When applying for the first medicinal formula patent, the craftsman Mr. Ma Sot had already created replica versions of the grape flower bird pattern incense ball. The presale was quickly arranged for initial market testing. He fabricated a tragic love story about the incense ball's origins. During wartime chaos, an emperor had bespoke medicinal incense specially blended by folk doctors to treat his ailing beloved concubine. After her death, this incense ball remained miraculously preserved for millennia until discovered by later generations. Purchasers of incense ball ashes. Soris would receive a small bag of specially blended medicinal incense. The pre-sale results proved quite satisfactory. Utilizing the structural principles of the original incense ball I possessed, technicians later developed various other styles of incense boxes and sensors. This artifact is extraordinary. Protect it well. When returning the incense ball, Mr. Ma's eyes still held traces of reluctant attachment. If it weren't your family heirloom, I truly want to acquire it. Do you know how much such an artifact could fetch at Christie's? I shook my head. Since it was something left by my grandmother, even knowing it's a cultural relic, I never thought about monetizing it. Moreover, the incense ball contains residual precious ancient medicines. I still need to use it to regulate Anan's health. However, they thought I was boasting. Later, Qixia saw a similar incense ball on the JD.com platform. She asked me again, is what stated here true? Was this really used by some imperial concubine before? Exactly like the little ball you used for Anan? I calmly replied, business strategy. Qixia, seems you found a job. Can Anan and I visit you in Beijing during vacation? Me. Beijing welcomes you. I don't. I dislike those who put green hats on themselves yet cry about being wrong during divorce, saying I don't understand, calling me petty. I truly don't understand. What kind of tolerance could make one broad-minded enough to bear that vast prairie of green atop their head? I even projected myself. If I were a woman, how would I choose if my husband cheated? I listened to the advice from the internet. Endure. I endured, but could not tolerate her continuing contact with the third party under the guise of bringing Anan. Gulan's Storax resin ran out. He contacted me for another custom blend. I replied, rhino horns are nationally banned. I can't source materials from pharmacies anymore. Gulan. What do you mean? Refusing my business. He still doesn't know the person blending his special medicinal incense is Xia's ex-husband. The irate response came. I'll report you for unlicensed practice. Go ahead, but I have one. When he instructed service personnel to barge into my room at midnight and then reported it himself to protect his reputation and avoid Xia's divorce entanglement, he should have anticipated this. Not everyone is willing to be manipulated, nor is everyone capable of manipulating me. The reason I didn't reveal the truth during police investigation was simply because the woman he cheated with was Anan's mother. Adult games shouldn't involve children. Don't, brother, just kidding you da. Going to the hospital to treat my illnesses would require taking piles of medication. Blood pressure lowering, blood sugar reducing, sleep inducing, liver CL. Easing, pain relieving. Every time I visit the hospital, it feels like they want to prescribe me a truckload of medicine da. This was exactly why I wanted to enter this industry. Western medicine always follows formulaic treatments. Each approach indeed has its own strengths and weaknesses, but I refuse to use precious medicinal herbs on someone of poor character. I genuinely can't obtain the rare medicinal herbs required in the formula. If you can acquire them, please contact me. Though I rejected Qixia, she still came to Beijing during Anan's winter break. Are you free? I want to take the kid to see Tiananmen Squared. As I looked down at the message, Mr. Ma stood behind me. Go ahead. I'll arrange a driver for you. Although we have rapid business progress and many tasks here, we can spare you time for a meal. Before leaving, I changed into fresh clothes and slightly tidied my disheveled hair. Looking at myself in the bathroom mirror, I was still wearing old clothes bought back in Huiqing, but my entire demeanor had shed its past devoy. My eyes sparkled with confident and upward-looking radiance. Despite being busier every day than I ever was in Huiqing, I grew increasingly energetic. When I saw Qixia and our daughter again, both of them froze in surprise. Anan, Dad, you're different from before. Dad, I want to watch the flag-raising ceremony. Dad, I also want to visit the Forbidden City. Dad, I really want to go to Universal Studios. Dad, can you stay with me and Mom? I didn't know if Qixia had coached her to say these words or if she'd been thinking them herself. It had been so long since she'd called me Dad with such affectionate clinginess. Before, she'd address me with hey, Mr. Sheng, or loser. Even after I told her it was wrong, she kept doing it. To maintain peace at home and reduce father-daughter conflict, I stopped arguing. But I never expected that after the divorce, I would finally receive the respect and care I had never gotten at home before. But was this current closeness truly love? I shook my head, seeing my silence. Qixia immediately changed the subject. How's work? Busy. Why are you still wearing old clothes? And I could pick out some new outfits for you during this trip. I smiled faintly. No need. I rarely go out with so much company business, and these clothes serve their purpose. The driver who brought me here took out a set of casual wear from the trunk after parking. President Ma instructed me to prepare this for you. He said when in the capital, You might try adopting a new lifestyle. These clothes are just tools to help you blend into the city. Though I couldn't tell how expensive the outfit was, the quality looked excellent just from how the driver handled it. Chi Xia's eyes widened. President Ma? Is it a man or a woman? The driver glanced at him, but didn't respond. Mr. Sheng, please contact me after lunch. Parking near Tiananmen is inconvenient. I nodded. As for Chi Xia's unanswered question, I didn't respond either. From what position does she stand now to ask me such a personal question? Is it necessary for one's entire life to climb the social ladder solely through male-female relationships? I am merely Chi Xia's ex-husband, merely Enin's biological father in terms of genetics. After all, when we divorced, I sought her opinion. At that time, Enin said, "You better get the hell out of here. Losing such an embarrassing father like you might actually help me regain some confidence among classmates. Also, don't link your adult matters of marriage and divorce to us kids. Don't claim you endured unhappy marriages for my sake. I don't need that." Thus I left with nothing but the clothes on my back, leaving behind all the wealth accumulated since graduation with Chi Xia, the house, cars, and savings in bank accounts. Finally signed the relinquished custody agreement. Because Enin didn't want to see me. She didn't want a father like me. Yet I cannot fail to provide her with the foundation of a material life. I won't allow the hardships I suffered in childhood to repeat in my daughter's life. Wandering the village begging for food. But that's all there is to it. Dad, where are we going to eat? Enin changed the subject. This time, instead of unconditionally taking Chi Xia's side, she acted as a mediator. Enin pointed at the pizza shop not far away. How about that one? I nodded in agreement, but politely asked, since you're in Beijing, don't you want to try local specialties like roast duck or stewed offal? Seizing the opportunity, Enin bargained. Then will you treat Mom and me to the next meal too? Me? Probably not. My boss only gave me time for one lunch. Chi Xia immediately protested with righteous indignation. What kind of people are they? Even capitalists shouldn't be this unreasonable. Just deduct pay for time off, not restrict people's movement. After lunch concluded, I took out 5,000 yuan from my pocket. Enin, this is all I can give you right now. Use this 5,000 yuan as you see fit. Discuss with your mom about what to eat or buy. My work is extremely busy and I can't get away. Chi Xia froze. Uncle. Enin also looked at the cash I handed over in bewilderment. Later, under the gaze of all diners in the hall, Chi Xia demanded sharply. Sheng Ming, what exactly is your job? I smirked maliciously. The same relationship between you and Gulan. That's exactly the job between me and the boss. After returning to the company, I again devoted myself entirely to work. A week later, I received another message from Gulan. Are you Chi Xia's ex-husband? So withholding my special medicinal package is revenge? W. Here's your medical ethics and compassion as a doctor? I didn't reply. About an hour later, he sent several more messages. My relationship with Chi Xia isn't actually the romantic kind you imagine. I have some peculiarities, probably habits formed since childhood. Let me explain slowly. This is somewhat embarrassing to say. When I was little, my family members would comfort me to sleep using their breasts as pacifiers. This habit persisted for a very, very long time. Later, when I was under work pressure, I rekindled this habit. Initially, I considered hiring special service providers to do this. But you know, the quality in that industry is unpredictable. You can't guarantee if they carry diseases, and I already have many health issues in my 50s. Naturally, I wanted someone clean and decent. So he chose Chi Xia. Of course, I offered something in return, ensuring she retains her position as the mainstay at Huicheng TV station. Those photos and videos I sent you were purely tests. My poor sleep requires a soothing breast, yet Chi Xia insists on returning home no matter how late it gets. Me. After sending you the first photo, you only replied that it was AI generated and did nothing else. Meanwhile, Chi Xia had her daughter help cover for her. That made me want to control you for good. Weary both men, you get it. I don't. I wanted a human pacifier available at my beck and call, yet you filed for divorce. Brother, I genuinely want to live a few more years to see my young son grow up. Also, let me say this. As a mid-level leader in Huicheng, very few know about my particular preferences. You can't spread this around. Chi Xia still works at the television station. He not a threat. So, any more medication left? After long consideration, I replied, no retaliation. Rhinoceros horns are truly unavailable through legal channels. If you have any, I can continue preparing medicine for you. Your side remained silent for a long time. Eventually came the reply. You wait. I didn't respond. Within moments, Chi Xia contacted me again. I hung up on her. Shengming, Gulan must have told you the truth. This was the secret between him and me. What couldn't be revealed before suddenly finds resolution now. Had I not witnessed their lingering kiss, I might have believed it. Understood. But it doesn't matter anymore. How is it not important? I didn't betray you, didn't betray our family. I was just working for the job. You know how hard it is for me to work alone outside. But who really has it easy? Some people live to plant wheat. Some people live to plant roses. When I was young, I longed for roses, but never neglected my duty to plant wheat. But Qi Xia, under the guise of planting wheat, has actually been indulging her inflated selfish desires. 10 years. Everett. Hing she loved, her hobbies, her desires. I never stopped her, nor demanded she must repay the family. Because I thought, we'd already survived the hardest times after graduation. It's natural to want to enjoy life. Everyone has the right to choose how to live. But some people are destined not to walk the same path forever. For the past 10 years, I've been exhausted, struggling to uphold everything for the family, for responsibility, for promises. After arriving in Beijing, I encountered all kinds of people on the streets and subways. Weary, joyful, numb, everyone struggling to survive. Because, like me, none of us were born into privilege. No matter the lifestyle, they're all means of survival. But Qi Xia, you're different. Marriage means walking side by side, being two bodies sharing the same grave, weathering storms together, enduring life's termites. Yet she simply chose the relatively suitable me at the right time and place. Thus, when living together, she grew resentful. While climbing upward herself, she never stopped berating me. Blind to my efforts, indifferent to a dying elder's kindness. Turns out we were just mistaken destiny. Since it's wrong, we should return to our rightful paths. Until death do us part. Well understood, but we're divorced. 6 months later, I came across a report in Hawaii City Evening News. A deputy station director, for his own selfish gains, hired foreign hunters at a high price to poach and smuggle precious wild rhinos, just to obtain a piece of rhinoceros horn. So this was what he meant when he said, "You just wait." Gulan was sent to prison. The deputy director's position was revoked, and he was expelled from the party. Qi Xia, due to reaching middle age, was asked by the station to give more opportunities to younger colleagues. Though not dismissed during workforce optimization, she was assigned field reporting tasks. Exposed to wind and sun, she completely lost the elegance and composure she once showed on television screens. The genuine combat skills she developed from yelling at me at home were quickly applied to her work. Sheng Enan never mentioned changing back to the Qi surname again. She would report her academic progress during every exam period. "Dad, I ranked 10th in my class this time. Dad, I'm 120th in the whole grade. The teacher says maintaining this ranking could get me into a decent high school. Studying is so hard. How did you persist when you were young, Dad?" After some thought, I replied, "Just like life, the heavens didn't set me up with a Roman script. It must have been so I experienced more. Uncle sends his heartfelt wishes for your smooth journey